The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, good evening. It's Nick Jervis and ready shortly to get going. Just waiting for 7 o'clock to come. So perhaps if I can ask a couple of you, if you could raise your hand using the GoToMeeting taskbar to let me know you could hear me, that would be great. And at this point, I normally make a really bad joke and say, if you can't hear me, if you can raise your hand as well. Thank you, Stephen. Saw you raise your hand. Darren, Graham, Julie, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Glad to know you can hear me. There's a question box as part of GoToMeeting. If you want me to look at your website or you've got any specific questions you'd like me to cover, then please type your questions in there and I'll be happy to help. So I'll just give it a few more seconds and then we'll get started. Right, welcome to the How to Get More Clients from Your Website webinar. I'm Nick Jervis, doing this in association with Private Practice Hub, who have brought us together. And I'll mention Jeff Simons and Private Practice Hub later, but he's certainly interested in giving you access to resources, I know, and he's got good plans next year. So I've known Jeff for a year or two now. It's been good working with him. And I know he's always looking to do more, so I'm sure you're going to find that interesting. As I say, if you have any questions at all about any aspect of your marketing, it doesn't just have to relate about the websites, feel free to type your question into the questions box. And at suitable gaps, I'll come to the questions and ask and answer them. If you've got questions, you want me to look about your website, you want me to look at a specific point, let me know that as well, and I'll dive in and do that. So let's crack on. So a little bit about me, just to give you some understanding of where I come from. I was a solicitor for 14 years. I left in 2003 to set up a marketing consultancy business for service-based businesses to use the expertise that I'd acquired in marketing legal services. I found out very quickly when I was a solicitor that I much more enjoyed the marketing of services as opposed to the providing of them, and which goes on perhaps to point 3 on there, which is I wanted to make my life as easy as possible when I was a solicitor. So I put in place as much automated marketing to bring in the clients as possible so that I didn't need to worry about it too much. And so since then, it's been my mission to get people to use automated marketing and to put things in place that makes their life an awful lot easier. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. This isn't, the information I share isn't based on theory or fluff or hyperbole. It's based on having spent my own money and a considerable amount of it and clients' money on testing and seeing what works and what generates clients and what doesn't. So it's not just what I found when I was in practice. I get people in that were marketing consultants. They charge a fortune, tell me lots of stuff, but they never actually run a business. And I didn't want to be one of those guys. So we've got our own service businesses. Everything that I share with you, we've tried and tested. That's why I know it works. So I'm going to take you through the most effective form of marketing for your businesses, the small changes you can make that have dramatic improvements. Then obviously the main part, more clients from your website, how you can do that. Then I'm going to share with you some pieces of software which can make your life even easier. As I say, it's a big part of it for me. If you stay to the end, I'll also give you some code and some bits and pieces that I hope you will find helpful. As I say, questions throughout, so please fire away as they come to you. So the first part, the most effective form of marketing, and I know that because you're busy running your therapy businesses, the marketing doesn't come easily because most of your time you've got to look after your clients. So I always want you to be able to understand what might work for you, what won't. And I've got a very simple illustration or a picture of this, which should come back to you at the moment that you've got someone telephoning you and saying, you must buy this advertising space or your competitor's going to go in there and all the business will go to them and not you. So this little test is peacocks and elephants, best summed up with a picture, because it's a picture that you probably won't forget, or I hope you won't forget, because it's designed to help you in the future and to make sure you choose the right forms of marketing. So the peacock, when he's looking to mate, he fans his tail, looks beautiful, and lets all the work be done. Everyone comes to him, he doesn't have to do anything. That's what I call attraction marketing, and it's what I've always looked to do myself. So I want clients coming to me without me having to do much work. I've done the work, I've put the seeds down, as it were, to help clients come to me at the time they're looking to buy my service. And that's what you should be looking to do. The elephant, on the other hand, he uses what's called interruption marketing, which isn't quite so effective, and which probably he has to work a lot harder at to be successful with. So when you have, so examples of that for you would be, Interruption marketing, you're watching television, someone's advertisement, normally a betting advertisement. If you're watching any sports programs or money-saving supermarket meerkat advert, if you're on any other channel, pops up in front of you. Your primary purpose at that point is not to place a bet or not to buy insurance, but the advert pops up in front of you and says, use us. So it's much more expensive, much less effective, because your primary purpose is not to do what they're offering to sell to you. Attraction marketing, on the other, is where you go looking for a service. So whether it's someone going looking for a psychotherapy service, physiotherapy, or coaching service, they go to Google, they type in what they're looking for, they find your website, they jump onto it, and they get in touch with you. That is attraction marketing, which is why I'm such a fan of website marketing, because it is the most effective form of marketing out there. So if someone's trying to sell you any sort of advertising marketing, is it a peacock or is it an elephant? If it's a peacock, look at it more seriously. If it's elephant, you're going to have to spend a lot more of it to make it effective. So as I say, it's very visual. I appreciate that, but it's with a purpose in mind. I don't want you. I see so many people come to me when they've spent thousands doing something which would never work for them, and so I designed that to hopefully save you making that mistake. So attraction marketing is what you're looking to achieve. With that in mind, if someone does come to you, there's some small changes that I often implement in businesses which make a dramatic difference. And I've worked with all types of services businesses, from sort of hard professional services, accountants, lawyers, etc., to softer coaching, consulting, physiotherapy type businesses. So I have worked in a range of sectors, and these apply to all of them. So I'll move on. Actually, I've got a good question in, so let's deal with that right away. Would flyers, leaflets count as interruption marketing and therefore be less successful than websites in general? Yes, in short, because you're putting the flyers, leaflets in front of people that might not have an immediate need for your service. So it comes down to what your service is, where the leaflets are going, and if say, there's a good portion of where they're going. So say you dealt with sports injuries and you're putting your leaflets in a sports club where people might pick up injuries, then there's more chance of it being successful. If, however, it's a general flyer going through doors or going to a wider market, then it's definitely interruption, and it's not going to work so well. So yeah, in that case, Graham, it is definitely a form of interruption marketing, and it very much depends where those leaflets are going as to how successful they're going to be. Okay, so back onto the small changes with that make dramatic improvements. And the first one, when I was a solicitor many years ago now, I used to work with a solicitor who was showing me the ropes, and they'd go off to court and they'd come back from the hearing and they'd say to me, Nick, I've had a brilliant day in court. I made this point, the judge loved it. I got this result, the client was happy. And he'd go on for 10 or 15 minutes and he'd say, oh, sorry, Nick, enough about me. What do you think of me? That is no joke, but it is a joke when it comes to your marketing, because so often what happens is, because you're trying so hard to get something done which often isn't comfortable to you, you spend too much time talking about yourself and not enough talking about your ideal clients and prospects. So what you need to do is look at your website and say, does this answer the client's biggest question at this point? So if it's physiotherapy, am I covering, you might be in pain, you might have suffered this sporting injury, and I understand that, and I'll work with you and I'll get rid of your pain as quickly as possible. So you talk about it all from the client's perspective. So have a look at your website. And what I'd urge you to do after this is, when you get the recording, to go through each of the slides and apply it and apply it to your website and say, am I making a mistake? Can I improve it? Because these are small changes, but I promise you, from having done this with hundreds of business owners before, they can make a dramatic difference. Some of the changes in here have been applied to websites, and people that were not receiving any inquiries have gone on to get sort of 5 inquiries a day, and that's a dramatic improvement, because it's small things, but they make a massive difference. So make sure you talk all about the client and not so much about you. Next point is call handling. If you do everything right and you manage to get someone to the point that they've gone online, they've typed in your service followed by the town, your website's come up because you've done a lot of stuff right already. They go onto your website and they pick up the phone and they get either an engaged tone or a voicemail. Chances are they're going to go to the next person on the list. So all of that excellent work you've done getting them to get in touch with you is suddenly wasted because they've gone elsewhere. So my very strong advice is to employ a call center who sound professional. I use one. I'm constantly told that they don't sound like a call center. It sounds like a reception. which can cost as little as £10–15 a month. But what it means is if one of your clients is worth at least £30–40–50, and from looking around at some of your websites, I can see that that's a pretty standard charge. If you just get one more client a month, it's paid for itself and put you in profit. But from my experience, because this is such a big problem, you'll probably get 2 or 3 more clients that you're currently losing by not answering the phone if you're in treatment sessions, which is understandable. So if you'd like details of the call center I use, I'm happy to pass those on. Reply to one of my emails with the webinar recording and I'll be happy to show that to you. The next stage where there's extra money for you is making sure that you follow up as much as possible with every prospect that comes through your door until they choose to work with you or until they say, please, Nick, stop, go away. Because most people feel that if they get an inquiry from their website, most people I work with think, well, I phoned once, they didn't get back to me, so they can't actually need me. That's not the case. Normally, someone that's looking for a service provider makes the inquiry, they then expect the provider to do all of the work and chase after them. When I was in practice, I used to seek help from people or talk about engaging some services. And I would leave a message, but I knew that the person that was trying to sell something to me would keep calling until they get a hold of me because they're trying to sell something. So you're in that same position. If a client contacts you, says, yes, I'm interested in your services, please get in touch. You need to follow up consistently and you need to follow up until you get a hold of them. And so don't phone and leave a voicemail and then leave it, or phone again, leave another voicemail. Leave one voicemail is my advice, and then keep phoning until you manage to speak with them. That alone can put a dramatic amount of extra business into your business. So it's a very good thing to do. That sort of thing when done relentlessly, makes a dramatic improvement to your profits. And if you also, every time you speak with someone, add them to your email marketing database and keep in touch with everyone on that list once a month, then that again is another very smart thing to do, one that will dramatically improve your business. Okay, on to the key part, which is generating more clients from your website. And there's a few points here. They are very simple, and you might think, well, that's not going to make a difference. But as I say, everything I'm sharing with you is based on having tested and put it into place on different websites and having achieved results with them. So it is stuff that works. So I would urge you to try it and you'll see the results. So the first thing I want to do is say, what is the point of your website? And this is where so many people, particularly professionals like yourselves, make the mistake of thinking the website has to sell my whole service and therefore it's got to be as detailed as possible and go into it so much information. The only purpose of your website is to sell the first contact with you. So say, get on the phone with me, fill in my inquiry form, or email me. That's the only point of your website. Once you have someone on the phone with you, then you sell your next stage, which might be a fixed fee for the first assessment, or it could be a group of sessions, whatever you're selling. But the point is, all you're trying to sell from your website is the first contact. And so many people miss that point. So it's why the point I make about the telephone, having that service, having telephone answered all the time is so important, because if your website does its job properly, your telephone will ring. You will get inquiries that need answering. So the next part is to make sure that you are there to answer those calls, or that your call center is at least. Next point, and this is a very simple one, but again, one that surprises me so often. What is it that you do? And that sounds obvious. Someone's typed in, I'm looking for a psychotherapist. They find a psychotherapist website, or do they? So I just found one in Bristol earlier. I'll come and look at the others that you've given me. But I can see it's a house clinic. I can see it's a clinic, so there's obviously treatment of some type being provided, but it doesn't say which type. And that's the really key thing to do, because if there's any doubt, if the person thinks I'm not sure I'm in the right place, they now approach the website from a wholly different perspective of uncertainty. If you take away that doubt, they see the logo, type of service, say it said physiotherapy there, great, I'm in the right place, I'm on a physiotherapist website, I can now carry on with the rest of my search. Excuse me, I was just clearing my throat. So if I move on to a couple of your websites, if I can get my cursor to go back. So a couple of you kindly asked me to look at websites, which I'm happy to do. So Inspired Counselling Services. So I know exactly what I'm getting on here. Counselling Services, that's good. So I know what I'm after on this one. I've got counselling in the heading there, mediation training, so I can see what's going on there. And on this one, focused, hypnosis, what would you change? So I know exactly what I'm getting there. So for those 3 of you that have asked me to look at your websites, well done. I know exactly what it is you do. So I'll come back to them for other examples shortly. Next, 2-minute Trust Builder, and this is something I created because the average time that people spend on your websites is around 2 minutes. You've got less than 2 minutes to prove to them that you are worthy of their business and they're worthy of that first contact. So I analyzed what people would look for to take away the doubt, so that if they come to your website, they're not thinking, oh, I'm not sure this is the right one for me. They're thinking, box tick, 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 tick. Okay, all of my questions answered. Yep, let's give them a call. Let's get in touch, because that's all we're trying to do, get them to get in touch with us. So the first aspect is proving your depth of expertise. So if I'm looking for counselling services, is there enough information in the counselling section to convince me that this is the right service for me? So if we go back to the websites we looked at, click on services, I've got counselling, I've got outline, I've got mindfulness. So I would say, what type of counselling is it? We've got different types here. So could we have a counselling couples section? Could we have a students section? Can we have a one-to-one page, so that in each section I think, okay, this is addressing my issue, but I can see they also do counselling for other areas as well. So there's details covering all of these different types of counselling sessions. Let's go into counselling in Belfast. There's counselling here. What can it do for me? How much does it cost? So counselling can help with all of these different types of items. Again, if we had a page for each of those, and I'm looking for trauma counselling and I land on the trauma counselling page, fantastic. I can see that this is something you really do a lot of. Proof of expertise ticked off. PTSD the same. Anxiety the same. So that each section has its own page to prove your expertise in that area. So in terms of the hypnotherapy website, again, I'm looking for the same thing. What sort of hypnotherapy is covered here? And issues treated. They look at this. This is great. So we've got separate pages for each section. So in terms of depth of expertise, I definitely know that if I'm looking to stop smoking, that's covered. Confidence, stress and anxiety. So all of those items are covered. So good depth of expertise there. So number of pages within a section. So if it's counselling, 5, 6, 7 pages about the different types of counselling you provided. Hypnotherapy, 5, 6, 7 pages about that, because someone's looking for that to prove that you are an expert in that area. So definitely things you can do there for the websites I've reviewed to improve them. The next part is proof of expertise. So how else can you prove your expertise externally? So are there logos proving expertise? And I'm sure I've seen some somewhere. Counselling directory, so there's something, so that's good. Okay, we've got a couple there. If I click on those, I would never okay, I've got you there. What I'm worried about though is I've gone on someone else's website, so what I've been inclined to do is to redirect that to a page on my website explaining what the BACP registered means and what it means for me as a client that makes you a better counsellor. Same with professional standards authority. If someone's arrives at your website, don't send them elsewhere. Send them to another page on your website and explain why your expertise, why those qualifications matter to them. Same here, link that to another page on the website explaining why these qualifications matter. And if we've got someone here, hypnosis downloads, but if we have some proof of expertise on here, again, link that to a page that says what this means. As I get a video starting to play, I will pause that. So qualifications we've covered, testimonials, and now I know that in the treatment sector some people can't, there's a debate Jeff was telling me about whether you can or can't display testimonials. If you can, I'd be inclined to call them client reviews now, because that's the language that clients are using on sites like Rated People and Trusted Advisors, TripAdvisors, etc. So if you can use them, obviously, if I see a comment, even if it's anonymous from someone who's used your service and felt better as a result of it, that's going to help me to think, okay, that box is ticked. Any press coverage you've had, books or articles published, even the volume of people you've helped to show your expertise. So all of these things, you've got 2 minutes to prove to me you are an expert in your field, take away my doubts, so that I'm in a position that I'm happy to contact you. So those are the things that I strongly recommend you have to prove your expertise. Once you've done those points, if you again, you've done everything well so far, I've landed on your website, I can see you provide counselling services, there's depth of expertise, so I can see that you do this lots of it. There's qualifications, reviews, and press coverage, and all sorts of great stuff. If you've done all of that, don't make the mistake that so many people do next make. And this is particularly one of those things that you can literally change your website overnight and start getting a lot more inquiries, because I've done it several times with people. So we do everything we've said. I love what you say. I like the sound of it. Get to the bottom of the page and I get nothing. You don't tell me what to do. So let's have a look and see what happens if we go services available. Got counseling. Good, nice infographic. Now, Stephen at the bottom has a link to email and telephone number, and that's okay, but what you need to do is have that reproduced at the bottom of the content. So if I'm reading a bit about counseling, and I come down here and I read all of this, at the bottom here, before the very bottom of the page, there should be a free inquiry, call me on this number, or email this, or fill in the free inquiry, and I will be in touch. Because to come down here and make me look for it means that you're expecting me to do something else, and we want to make this as simple as possible for prospects to get in touch. So don't break the chain, because we've gone from copy to an image, then we've got to go down here to get the content. Make it absolutely straightforward. So here I've got details, and I've got contact or email. So I've certainly got a call to action there, which is straightforward. On the hypnotherapy one, I haven't so much. It's down, you might say it's down here, and there's contact information at the top, but again, what you've got to do is if I go onto one of the particular pages, you've got to lead me straight to you. You've got to make this absolutely as simple as possible, because the minute you ask me to start doing something else is when you lose me. So if this is the content about hypnosis, and it's going left and right, there's no call to action. So as I say, this is one of the simple things you can do at the bottom of every single page, is put a subheading, make a free inquiry, or contact us now, call us on this number, or fill in this free inquiry, or click this email to get in touch. And then you will start to get more inquiries, because people assume that people will go off to the contact page, but you've got to guide them by the hand. You've got to make this absolutely as simple as possible for them, and it does make a big difference. Assume nothing, as they say. Next point, following on from the call to action, is 60% of your users want this, and I know that they want this because we have a website in the legal services sector, and for years we didn't have this on it, and then we put this on it, and we doubled our inquiries overnight. So we went from getting, say, 50 inquiries a month to 100 simply by putting this on the website. What is it? It's an inquiry form, and again, you might say, well, if I've got email and telephone, I don't need an inquiry form. People like to fill in forms. I don't know why. I mean, having spent 14 years in the law, I find it really hard to fill in any forms now. I will delegate upwards, sideways, left, right, wherever I can to avoid having to fill in a form. If you don't have an inquiry form, I promise you it can make a massive difference. And the thing is, there's so many simple plugins you can get for WordPress that add a contact form. There's so many easy ways of adding content there's no excuse for not having a contact form. So it's easy done. And I'm actually going to share with you a piece of software which Jeff has negotiated a special price for you at the end, which you could put on and instantly would give you an inquiry form. So I'll share that with you shortly. But let's have a look at our sites here. So Stephen, thank you for your feedback, much appreciated. Says very useful feedback so far, very useful advice, thank you for that. So if on your contact us, have you got to pay an inquiry form? There is one here. If you can replicate that but put it on a page just called free inquiry, people will start filling it in. At the end of every page you can say, call me on this number, or email, or click here to make a free inquiry, redirect that page, and away you go. For Sentient, is there a contact form? No form on there. Oh, there is at the bottom, but again, it needs to be on a separate page. If you link to a contact page, suddenly there's all this stuff going on that distracts me. If I've decided, yes, I want to fill in a free inquiry form, link to a page that says free inquiry, I'll put my details in there, away I go, and then it's back to you to come back to me. And as I say, we found 60% of people would rather fill in a form than email or phone, and we test all of them on our website. So that's based on fact, as I say, based on results. And I had a look, in case no one gave me a website, I had a look around and very easily found what was a good site, because it had the name and it has physiotherapy services, but no inquiry form and no link to it because it didn't exist. So definitely one of those things that is worth you investing a bit of time in. Once you've got it, flaunt it. And by that I mean put it on every single page, put it in your call to action, which flows on from the copy, so that it says at the bottom, fill in a free inquiry and link the words free inquiry to your form. It goes from there. Have a button on the right hand side of your page, and I call it I've got Amazon up there because Amazon have tried and tested an awful lot of things, and the buy now button is in the top right position where I'm wiggling my cursor on every page, because that's where they know people will go to click it the most. So they've done all that testing for you. They're very nice people at Amazon. So use their expertise and put it in the right hand side of your website, so that when someone fills it in, across they go and away you go. So if I show you one of ours, you won't be surprised to see, I've shrunk that a bit, that our inquiry form is top right. And it's top right of every page. And as I said, we've tested this to a great extent. That people love to fill in an inquiry form. Strange but true. I can't stand forms. So thank you, Darren. Much appreciated. So once you've got your inquiry form, make it very easily accessible. Make it easy for your clients to get hold of it. It will make a difference to you. Next point, and this is one I debated earlier with Jeff after I ran this webinar at 1 o'clock today. And Jeff phoned up for a quick chat afterwards and said, he said, the pricing one's interesting. He said, some people love this, some don't. And he said they'd actually had a period where they had prices on a website and they had loads of inquiries, and then they didn't have the website prices on, and then they had lots of inquiries and they put the price on to discourage calls. And I said to Jeff, well, the way I deal with that is say, take the prices off, because you do want people on the phone. Once they're on the phone with you, you can very quickly qualify them, and if you can't help them, you can refer them on to someone else that does. But the fact is, you'll have that chat, and if you are the perfect person for them, and you'll only find out when you speak with them, you won't discourage them by showing them the prices. And in nearly every occasion that this happens, and as Jeff confirmed, putting the price on stops people phoning you. And there's two reasons it does. One, it might put you off because it's too expensive. More importantly, what normally happens is they're having a look around, they have a look and see that this is £40 a session. They go to the next website and say, oh, actually, I can get that for, let's see, how much does it cost me here? Okay, that's £40 as well. So Darren, no, that's the same price. Let me find one that's 35. Right, £35, away I go, pick up the phone, have a chat. And suddenly the £35 person says, well, yeah, it starts at £35, but having assessed you, it'd actually be £50. Now, I'm sure there's all sorts of reasons why that wouldn't happen in terms of professionalism, but I'm explaining that the difference is once someone's on the phone with you, you can fully understand their problem and their needs and explain why your service is perfectly matched to that. If you don't get the chance of having that chat with them because they use you as a price comparison, then you miss out on a lot of calls. So Jeff says he does it to discourage people from calling him. My advice is, if you want more people to call you, take your prices off. Stress that you offer a fixed fee initial session, or a free assessment, or a free telephone assessment. Stress that, get them on the phone, and then if you find you get too many phone calls, improve the call handling as opposed to stopping people calling you, because in my experience, there's a dramatic difference. And as soon as you discourage people from contacting you by publishing your prices, you often miss a lot of really good potential clients for your business. And obviously, as a marketing man, that makes me feel slightly queasy, nauseous, as my Irish friend would say. So I don't want you to do that. I'd rather you got them on the phone, we're able to explain how you can help, and if not, pass them on quickly. And I've had this problem with all sorts of people, different industries. Solicitors are the same. And Jeff was saying earlier that you want to delve into the problem and go into the detail. And the solicitors are the same. They want to do the same with legal services. But the purpose of the first call is to find out what the problem is, and then explain, once you understand it, why you are best placed to take care of that client's needs. Then price comes at the very end of that, once you've matched your service to their requirements. And if it doesn't match, you obviously refer them on. But if it does, and you've got a perfect potential client, you're then in the place of explaining why you are best placed to help them. So I strongly advise test removing your prices. And someone said to me on the earlier webinar, I'm not sure, and I like having my prices on there. As with any marketing, test. So if you've had your prices on there for the whole of say October, November, December, 3 months, count up how many inquiries you've had, then take the prices off for January, February, March, count up how many inquiries you've had. If the traffic's largely the same to your website, same number of visitors, and you've got your answer, which produce more inquiries, unless you're a seasonal business that does better in January, which I can imagine many would be. But the easy way with any of this is to test it. So if you aren't, and that comes to one point perhaps on the next slide, which is software tools, and the first one I mentioned is analytics. There's some very simple key performance indicators you should be measuring. One of them is, for my part, your website traffic. If you want your website to work for you, the beginning of every month, you should be checking how many visitors you've had to your website. The other metrics you should absolutely be measuring is how many telephone inquiries and web form inquiries you had for your services. And then the final one is how many of them turned into clients. Because once you know those numbers, it's very easy to say, okay, well, I'll get more web traffic, and then I get more inquiries, and then I'll work harder at following up and answering the phone better, and I'll get more clients. And so many professional service providers and treatment providers focus on sort of what they're looking to achieve billing wise, rather than, if you take care of the first part, how many people are visiting my website, how many telephone inquiries and email inquiries do I get, how many turn into clients. If you up the numbers at that end, it's easy to take care of the billing bit. Doesn't need to be worried about, because you will always have it coming through the pipeline. So if you can use analytics and record your stats, and if you don't know how to use analytics, contact me at the end and I'll give you a short video just showing you how to find the basic information that you need from analytics. Other people have different tracking software. As long as it gives you the total visitors and hopefully what search terms they've used to find your website, which is useful information, that's all you're after, really. I'm not expecting to become an expert at something else. You're already an expert at the service you provide. You don't need to become an expert at analytics. I might enjoy it, but I can understand that most people don't. But you just need to be able to use it for the basics. So tracking on your website software is important. Putting down in a simple spreadsheet, and I use Google Sheets for my clients to record every inquiry they get, how many of those turn into clients, and then they can quickly say, okay, my conversion rate's 30%. If I want another 10 clients, I need 30 leads, and that will get me those. So now I know I need 30 more leads to get me those 10 new clients every month. Where am I getting them from? Okay, I'll buy some Google AdWords traffic, or I'll do some blogging on my website. So that's why I say, if you know what you're looking for at the end, you can easily track it back to how to get that coming through quite quickly. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, keep firing them away, please, just so that I know I'm not on my own as much as anything, because I appreciate some of you may be eating your dinner, doing all sorts of lovely things. But yeah, any questions, fire away. I won't be too much longer, and then I'll be letting you go and have your evening. Next piece of software, which can be good, is live chat. And I say it can be good because if someone is on your website and they're unsure about something, they can quickly ask you a question, you can fire it back. But the problems with it are, and these are significant, I tested it lots. First of all, live chat generally tends to sit in a button down the bottom of a website, and you have to click it to make it work. Now that in itself means that I've got to make a conscious decision to do it. So generally that doesn't happen. So that's one of the problems. The other problem is that if you're not logged in, and most of you won't have the time to be sitting there all day, every day answering questions, it actually says, sorry, offline at the moment. So it's akin to having a door on the high street and having closed for lunch or closed for 2 hours, and all that sort of information. So it can be great, but it has serious problems. So I was thinking about this and was on holiday, and I'm afraid to say they are my feet, and this is exactly the moment when I came up with this idea. I was thinking about all of my clients, and they're all excellent at what they do. Generally the weakness is marketing and having enough clients to look after, which is why they come to me. It's not surprising. And so I was thinking, well, they've got someone coming to their website, someone that's interested in their services, and if you look at any of the quoted stats, and you have to be careful with quoted stats because they're excuse me, they're always very general. But if you look at the general quoted stats, it is 100 people come to your website, no more than 2 will get in touch with you. And from my analysis, actually, it's 0.5% will get in touch with you. So for every 100 people that say Google Counsellor Belfast land on the website, and they're interested because they started with that search Counselling Belfast, why do they leave? What makes them disappear? So there's all sorts of reasons that they go away, but anything you can do to improve that, when you've got someone that's already interested in your services, anything you can do to help them to get in touch so that you can start the chat with them, explain how you can help them, is good. But if you're using live chat, you've got to be online 24/7. So I was thinking, okay, how can I make, instead of just 0.5% of people getting in touch for every 100 visitors, how can I make that 1%, 2%, or 3%? But that's where I came up with the idea for Your Website Genie, which is completely automated. Not live chat because it's totally automated. You don't have to lift a finger, which is the most important part. But it's a tool that a nice speech. It was a nice speech. Thank you, Stephen. It's a tool that that works with or without you, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It generates more inquiries, and a lot of our clients have said have increased inquiries by 300%. So I know Jeff uses it on his website. A lot of clients have gone from having, say, 10 inquiries a month to 30 just by putting this on here. And a lot of it is for the reasons that I mentioned before, in that if a client comes to your website, there's no inquiry form and there's no calls to action at the bottom of each page. But if they're on your website for 30 seconds and suddenly this pops up, they're presented with a question. Do I want to ask a question, yes or no? If they were just about to leave, and the reason we put it at 30 seconds is to make sure that they've read enough, but it's before the 2-minute period when they're definitely leaving, they might say, yeah, okay, I'll ask a question. They get presented with a question box. They type in their question. Oh, they don't want to do that and get Cortana asking them questions, which I'm just about to do. So they enter their question and they send the question off, and then add their contact details. And now the minute I would do that and send that off, you would have a live inquiry on your inbox from a client inquiring about your services, and you would be able to say to them, this is what I can do, this is how I can help you. So there's several things about it. First is, when I fill in that first part and ask a question, Your Website Genie tracks which page on your website they are on and tells you which page they were on, so that even if they didn't go on and provide their contact details, but most people do because they now want the answer to the question, even if they didn't, we tell you, well, they were on this page of your website, Stephen, and they were looking at counselling services, and they asked the question, do you offer a free telephone assessment? Now, if you get asked that question 2 or 3 times, you can say, okay, I need to beef up the fact that I do offer a free telephone assessment. So let's beef that up so that the next person comes there doesn't have that question. So you gain intelligence on what your users are thinking. More importantly, as I say, the majority, now that they've asked a question, they then go on and give you their contact details. As soon as they click send, you get a thank you button, and you get in your inbox the inquiry from them as a live lead for you to follow up. It's obviously all yours, nothing to do with Your Website Genie. It's operated by Your Website Genie, but obviously it's all to do with you and your website, your lead. So that's how it works. It's very simple. And that, again, I've told you I like simple things because I've got a simple person. Certainly my wife tells me that. So its simplicity is what makes it works. It's totally automated. It works with or without you. You're instantly emailed the new inquiries. And as I say, Jeff was very keen to make sure that you got a benefit from this relationship that I've got with Jeff. And so normally it's £20 a month, but it's actually £15 a month for you, and I'll share how you can get that. But the key point is there's no minimum term, there's no contract, there's nothing. We're not trying to trick you into anything here. I know this works, and anything I can do to make your life easier in terms of getting extra business for you, then that's my mission to do it. That's exactly why I came up with Your Website Genie. That's why I go on and on about it to people I know and say, look, just put it on your website, try it for a month. As I said to you at the beginning, test anything. If it works and it gets you more business, keep going. The idea is at £15 a month, if you get one more client and that's another £50, £100, £200, it's paid for itself and more because there's repeat business to come in the future, etc. So we looked at pricing it per inquiry and all sorts of things, but we just wanted to make it as cheap as possible, as easy as possible for you to say yes to, for all of our clients to say yes to. And that's why it's priced normally at £20 a month, but because of your relationship with PPH and Jeff, it's only £15 a month to you. It is since we've had it. If I close that now, you can see we've handled over 23,000 inquiries. So it's well used, and as I said, it's been proved to work up to 3 times as much. Mike Sedham was a good friend of mine. Sadly, he lost his life earlier this year. But I don't forget Mike. He was a very smart internet marketer, and I was chuffed to bits when he told me that it worked up 3 times as much better for clients when they put this on the website. That's 300% improvement. So for him to say that, it was a real endorsement for me that I had achieved what I set out to do, which was to make my clients' lives easier. So there's a page here with your link. I'm happy to answer any more questions for you now. Jeff said he'd like the video for analytics. If you do want that from me, Stephen, if you want that from me, when you've got my email now, or when you get the next one, just ping me a reply and just say analytics, please, Nick, and I'll send you a link to that video. Otherwise, I shall forget because it's late in the day and I've had 3 or 4 presentations today. As I say, try your website Genie. You get sent to this page. You click a button. This is a Go Cardless provider. That includes VAT. That's your special rate. This is a direct debit service provider. You are in complete control of cancelling this at any time. Again, what I wanted to do is make this easy for you, and I know that often people use credit cards or debit cards. Trouble with that is it's very hard for you to cancel the service. I'm completely confident in this service, so I want you to be able to cancel it. If you think, no, it's not working for me, you go to your bank, you cancel the direct debit, bang, it's gone. So to say, there's nothing designed to trip you up here. It's actually designed to hopefully make your life an awful lot easier. If anyone has any more questions, please fire away. I'll just show you our sponsors a couple of pages while I waffle on and wait for any questions to come in. Thank you, Stephen, for your feedback. Much appreciated. I'm glad you found it useful. I will send you the video. And there's one more page from our sponsor. If you want me to have a quick look at your website, now is your last chance. Well, that being said, if you get the follow-up email from me, you're welcome to send me a link back to your website and I'll give you my thoughts on it as well. But if there's no more questions, just like to thank you all for your time today. I hope you found it helpful. I hope more importantly than anything, I hope you go back through the webinar and check every single one of these points. They are simple points. You can make the changes very quickly. And they do make a big difference to the inquiries you'll get from your website. This stuff really works, so please do take action. That's the thing that really makes me happy. When you take action and get results, please do share them with me. I love a success story. Thank you, Donna, for your feedback, and thank you, Darren, very much appreciated. Thank you all for your time. I hope you all have a fantastic evening. I'm off to watch The Apprentice, and maybe have a glass of wine. Don't tell anyone I said that. Thanks for your time, and hopefully be in touch with you all soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.